reserve price. That's the least amount you'll take. You don't necessarily have to put that in there. Your starting price, that can actually function depending on how you do your listing, the same way as reserve price does. And the buy it now price, that just means if somebody meets that price, it's theirs. They don't have, nobody can outbid them. The item will automatically be there. These other things just have to do more with how you select some of the ways that you want to do your pictures. Not that important. Let's go to the next one. Okay. The next thing you want to take consideration of is your shipping options. This is where a lot of people lose money and actually become very discouraged on eBay because they find that they might originally think, hey, I got a pretty good price for that. And then when they realize what the expenses are that are involved and the time that's involved in shipping an item, they kind of become discouraged. So there are things that you need to anticipate. One thing you can do is, the first thing is to measure your item, weigh your item, and then what you have to do is, in order to determine how much an item is going to cost to ship, you add 4 inches to each dimension, if it's to the width, to the length, and to the depth. And then whenever you go either to the USPS website or the UPS store website, they will ask you for dimensions. Then you put the dimensions in, you put the zip code in, you put the weight in, and it will tell you how much it will cost. Now, when you make these selections here, whenever that person will click on your listing, I always do it so it customizes, and it will tell them how much it will cost for that item to be shipped directly to them. And the software in TurboLister just does all the work. You just have to make sure that you enter the correct information. Make sure this section here is how many days do I promise to have this thing out? You know, if you bought this on Tuesday, I promise I'll have it out in 2 business days. So it'll ship on Thursday. That's what the domestic handling time is. I rarely do anything international, very rarely. And then the other thing you need to anticipate, if you're selling something that's on the fragile side or even could be damaged, you want to make sure that you cover it with insurance. And usually, like a company like UPS, they'll give you the first $100 for free. So if you're selling things that are $100 or less, it's not something you really have to consider. But once you get beyond that, make sure you have that figured in, and it'll automatically be calculated in your shipping costs. Then these are your methods of payment over here. If you have PayPal, you can take credit cards. That's the way I would recommend that you do it. It's not bad to take money order. If you take a personal check, then you should wait till that money clears the bank before you start selling it. Then, selecting a return policy, all you do is click the edit button. I think it drops down 4 different alternatives. One of them is no returns. You know, that's the one I like. But you know, you can look at that, read through it, and see what you like. And then after that, that pretty much completes your eBay listing. And you click on completed, and then it takes you to a menu where it allows you to either upload it immediately onto eBay if you want your listing to start right away, or at that point in time, here's where they say ASAP, that means immediately. Or you can punch in a date and time, and your listing will begin at that date and time. I recommend for people, usually if they're going to sell something, what's worked best for me is I usually list something like around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Thursday night, or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Sunday night. And that's because the relationship that day bears to the weekend. Thursdays, people are kind of anticipating, I'm going to be off. So they start shopping eBay. You know, they get there and you know, I'm going to start my vacation, you know, I'm going to start my day off that night. So that's what I have generally found. And then Sunday, people are kind of living in dread of going back to work. So they try to pretend like, yeah, I got to go find something, you know, I can buy myself some other way. So those are the 2 recommended times that I have as far as listing items. These are just some of the means of shipping. One thing that I would recommend to you, I never did this, but I probably should have done it, is that I should have probably registered to become a UPS satellite station. One thing you can do if you want to is you can actually sell your services to other people that you know or other businesses. But the other advantage to it is when you set up your shipping, if you decide to charge UPS store prices, then there's a big padding in there to cover your time, effort, packing materials, and your handling costs, expenses, and things already figured into your shipping price. And there's also a place whenever you're figuring out your shipping to put in the handling fee. And it doesn't appear in your listing anywhere as a handling fee. And I recommend you put it in your listing that it's going to cost you any money to handle. People get very petty about stuff like that, so just hide it. Don't let them know they're paying for that. We talked about this before. I recommend PayPal, using PayPal. In conclusion, selling on Craigslist is by far the easiest and least expensive. I mean, there's no expense for listing on eBay. They don't charge you for the listing. You can do a listing in a very short time because of the space that they provide you for describing. It isn't that big. So if you don't mind, if you enjoy interacting with people, you don't mind people coming to your house, that's a good way to go. Yeah, this was something, you need to exercise wisdom in the matter of renewing your listings. The way Craigslist works is the last item that somebody put up there is the first item that appears in that category on Craigslist. So if I just listed a pair of speakers, it's going to be the first thing. But 3 days later, it's going to probably be on page like 8. So the chances that somebody are going to punch in the search engine the exact product that you have listed on Craigslist is probably not very likely. You're dealing with a much smaller market than you are on eBay. But another thing you need to be aware of is if you start renewing all your things on a daily basis, you're going to have a revolt on your hands. Because there are people who live on Craigslist. And all they do is they'll check that one category and they will resent you relisting your stuff daily. So what I would recommend is don't relist an item, don't list or relist an item more than 3 items on any given day. So you'll still get complaints, but you'll get less of them. And just treat your customers well so that they come to your defense and you don't have to defend yourself. Somebody puts a listing on eBay saying, you know, why don't you get that piece of junk off of there or whatever. So, okay, next. Okay, eBay provides you with a far, far larger market. A lot more people are going to be looking at your item. And, but unfortunately, you have to anticipate problems, pay attention to detail whenever you describe the item. One of the highest praises you can get in terms of feedback is item as described. That's one of the things you want to see coming back to you consistently in your email, in your feedback. I have like 670 some feedbacks. I got like maybe 1 feedback for every 4 transactions I've done on eBay. So I've probably sold between 3,000 and 4,000 things on eBay. And I have 100% customer satisfaction. So it's, and the last years. Yeah, the same thing that I just said before. Be vigilant, anticipate problems in advance, because if you make a mistake, one, eBay may make you issue a refund, but if eBay doesn't, if somebody paid through PayPal, PayPal will just take the money right off your credit card or out of your bank account and give it back to that person if they think that they've made a reasonable case that you haven't presented very well.
Okay, very good.